Hey everyone, welcome back! Today we're talking about something that might not sound as flashy as crazy DPS numbers, but trust me, it's just as important. Support characters in Wuthering Waves. Yeah, those unsung heroes who don't always get the spotlight, but without them, your main DPS would be struggling to survive, missing out on some huge damage potential, or just feeling kinda meh. Whether they're buffing your team, healing your squad, or setting up coordinated attacks, these supports are low-key the backbone of every solid team comp. Now, I know support means different things to different players. Some people think of classic healers, others include sub-DPS units who bring some nice buffs on the side like Sanhua. For this video though, we're focusing more on the ones who really shine in boosting your team's power, keeping everyone alive, and creating openings for your main DPS to pop off. So let's jump into this support tier list and see who's worth your time, and who might just be holding you back. Let's go. I'm quickly moving on to the video. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching! Oh man, let's talk about Taoki for a second, because if you've ever tried to use her in Wuthering Waves, you already know the struggle. Taoki's got this weird identity crisis going on where she's supposed to be a support, but her whole kit feels like it's constantly fighting itself. She can heal and shield the team, which sounds great on paper, but actually pulling that off takes forever. Her animations are slow, her resonance skill is clunky to aim, and by the time you finally get her set up, the fight might already be over. And to make matters worse, her abilities don't even scale off a single stat, so building her properly is a whole headache of its own. The only real highlight in Taoki's kit is her resonance skill damage, and even that comes with a catch. You have to fill up her concerto energy first, and with how slow her attacks are, that's easier said than done. It's like she's a support who wants to be a DPS, but forgot to actually be good at either role. Don't get me wrong, you can make her work if you really love her, but compared to other supports in the game, she's definitely more of a for fun pick than someone you bring to a serious fight. Let's talk about Yuanwu, one of the support characters in Wuthering Waves. And honestly, he's in a bit of a weird spot right now. On paper, his kit actually sounds pretty solid. He can throw up shields for the team, give everyone a bit of interruption resistance, and even boost the squad's DF%. Plus, he sets up this electric field that helps with coordinated attacks alongside your active character. Sounds useful, right? Well, not exactly. See, the problem is, none of the current characters really care about DF% scaling. Everyone's all about ATK or other stats, so that whole def buff thing, kinda pointless. And when it comes to coordinated attacks, there are just better options out there. Compared to other supports, Yuanwu feels like he's still waiting for his moment to shine. Maybe if future characters actually want some def scaling, he'll be more relevant. But right now, he's chilling at the bottom of the support tier list, hoping for better days. When we talk about support characters in Wuthering Waves, Yang definitely deserves a shout-out, but not for the usual reasons. Her biggest strength is actually how fast she gets in and out of the field. She jumps in, does her thing, and before you know it, she's already passing the baton to the next character. And here's the cool part. She also gives that next character a nice chunk of energy. That's a big deal because it means your main DPS can fire off their resonance liberation way more often, which is basically free damage just for rotating properly. On top of that, Yang isn't just about battery support. She's got some pretty decent crowd control, pulling enemies together to set up for big AoE hits from whoever's coming in next. Now, she does bring a 20% ATK buff to the table too, which is nice. But let's be real, compared to some of the top-tier supports in the game, it's not exactly groundbreaking. Yang's value really comes from how smooth she makes your rotations feel, especially if you're running a team that leans on burst-heavy carries. So while she's not the flashiest or the strongest support out there, she's one of those units that makes the whole team feel just a bit better. And hey, sometimes that's exactly what you need.
Yangxin is one of those characters that tries to do it all, but in Wuthering Waves, that's not always a good thing. She's got a solid shield, a little bit of healing, and even a decent damage output if you build her right. Plus, her outro skill gives a nice resonance liberation buff, making her a decent support for ult-reliant characters like Carlotta. On paper, that sounds great, right? A character that brings so much to the table? Well, not exactly. Because while Jiangxin can do everything, she doesn't truly excel at anything. And in a game where specialists shine, that's a big problem. The issue is that no matter what role you try to put her in, there's someone who just does it better. Need a strong shielder? There are better ones. Looking for a healer? You have stronger options. Want a support that buffs the team? Others provide bigger boosts. She's stuck in this weird middle ground where she's usable, but never the best choice. So while she's not outright terrible, she's definitely not climbing to the top of the support tier list anytime soon. Alright, let's talk about Yoo-Hoo, one of the 4-star support characters in Wuthering Waves. Now, Yoo-Hoo isn't exactly the strongest healer in the game, but that doesn't mean she's useless. In fact, she's surprisingly good if you know how to build her right and pair her with the right teams. She works really well in coordinated attack setups, especially if you're running characters like Jeji or Jinshi. And if you're using Mortefi or Jian, she can slide into those teams nicely too. Her outro skill is actually pretty cool. After she swaps out, the next character's coordinated attack damage gets a big 100% boost. So yeah, she's got some tricks up her sleeve. That being said, if you're expecting Yoo-Hoo to carry your team's healing all by herself, you might want to lower those expectations just a bit. Compared to some of the top-tier healers, she's definitely a step down. But hey, she's a 4-star, so that's kind of expected. Overall, she's a solid mid-tier pick. Not a must-have, but also not a character you'd regret building if you need a flexible support to round out your team. If you're all about coordinated attacks, Yoo-Hoo can definitely pull her weight. Let's talk about Baiji, because if you're looking for a solid healer in Wuthering Waves, she's honestly a pretty safe bet. She's not just about healing. Baiji actually brings some nice buffs to the table. And the best part? Those buffs don't disappear when you swap her out. That makes her super flexible for all kinds of team comps. If you want to get the most out of her, slap on the Rejuvenating Glow set. Not only will that boost her healing, but it also hands out a sweet 80k% buff to the whole team, so everyone benefits. And if you really want to double down on team buffs, you can give her the Bell-born Diochelone weapon for an extra 10% DMG boost across the board. But wait, there's more. Baiji's sequences are actually kind of cracked for a support. Her Sequence 5 is a lifesaver, literally, because it lets her revive fallen teammates at full HP, which is rare and super clutch in tough fights. Then there's Sequence 6, which buffs her Glacio DMG, making her even better if you're running a Glacio-focused team. So while she might not be the flashiest support out there, Baiji's got a lot of value if you build her right. She heals, she buffs, she revives. What more do you need? Let's talk about Mortefi, one of those characters that's been turning heads since day one. If you're building a team in Wuthering Waves and you need a solid sub-DPS that actually does more than just sit there, Mortefi's your guy. The reason people love him so much is because of his insane synergy with Jian. These two together? Absolute fireworks. Mortefi's Resonance Liberation triggers coordinated attacks that shower enemies with flames every time your main DPS lands a heavy attack, which means you're constantly dishing out bonus damage without even thinking about it. But that's not even the best part. It's his outro skill that really seals the deal. When Mortefi swaps out, he gives the next character a serious buff to their heavy attacks, and that one mechanic pretty much defines how you build the whole team. If you love characters who make the rest of your squad feel even stronger, Mortefi fits that role perfectly. He's not just a support, he's the kind of character that turns good teams into great ones, and that's exactly why so many tier lists still put him near the top. When we're talking about solid support characters in Wuthering Waves, Yinlin is a name you absolutely can't skip over. She's one of those characters that brings way more to the table than you might expect at first. Sure, she's got decent AoE damage, especially if you're running her in quick swap teams, but the real magic happens when you start using her buffs. Her outro skill? That thing cranks up the next character's Electro DMG by 20% and their Resonance Liberation DMG by a whole 25%. That's a massive boost, especially if you're running her alongside an Electro carry like Xiangli Yao. Together, those two are just ridiculous, melting enemies left and right. But wait, Yinlin's not just a one-trick buffer either. If you throw her into a Moonlit Clouds build with the Impermanence Heron Echo, she can stack even more buffs on your next character. We're talking bonus ATK, extra DMG%, the whole package. It's like she's handing over a gift-wrapped damage boost every time she tags out. That's what makes her such a flexible support. She can buff, she can deal damage, and she fits into so many teams without feeling wasted. So if you're building any kind of Electro squad or you just want a strong support who actually pulls her weight, Yinlin's a character you definitely want to keep an eye on. Let's talk about Jeji, one of the absolute gems in Wuthering Waves when it comes to off-field DPS. Now, Jeji isn't someone you'll want to keep on the battlefield for long, but when she's there, she does some serious work. Her Resonance Liberation ability is what really sets her apart. Once she activates it, she starts launching coordinated attacks alongside your active characters. It's like having an extra set of hands in the fight. Plus, Jeji isn't just about raw damage. She's also a battery for your other units, giving them 15 resonance energy when she leaves the field, which is perfect for keeping your team's abilities flowing smoothly. But wait, there's more! Zezi's buffs are what make her a must-have for your team, especially if you're running top-tier DPS like Jinshi or Carlotta. She boosts their Glacio and Resonance skill DMG by 20% and 25% respectively, which means even more damage on the table for your strongest units. Pair her with a Moonlit Cloud set and the Impermanence Heron Echo, and you've got a support character who can elevate your whole team to the next level. Zeji is not just support. She's a powerhouse in disguise, making her one of the best partners for your DPS units. Let's talk about one of the best support characters in Wuthering Waves, Verina. Before the Shorekeeper stole the spotlight, Verina was a fan favorite for her amazing healing and buffs. She's basically the perfect support unit, providing non-stop healing to the team with her coordinated attacks. Whether you're in a long battle or just need that extra boost to push through, Verina has your back with continuous healing and a bunch of buffs to increase damage and attack percentage. The best part? She doesn't just heal, she makes your team stronger while doing it. Now, if you're using Verina in your squad, you're looking at a 5-star unit who brings it all to the table. With her Echo set, you get not only the healing, but also those crucial buffs that make a real difference in combat. It's like having your own personal support powerhouse who can keep your team alive and enhance their potential all at the same time. If you're aiming for a top-tier support character in Wuthering Waves, Verina is definitely someone you want to consider. She's a game changer. Let's talk about one of the best support characters in Wuthering Waves, the Shorekeeper. She's an absolute gem when it comes to supporting your team. Not only does she offer constant healing, but her ability to boost her team's crit value is a game changer. It doesn't matter what team you put her on, she fits in perfectly and brings a ton of utility. If you're lucky enough to have pulled her, you've definitely scored big time. What makes the Shorekeeper even better is her ability to carry the Rejuvenating Glow Echo set, which enhances her healing while giving a nice ATK% boost to the whole team. This makes her more than just a healer. She turns into a real powerhouse when it comes to buffing your squad. So, if you've got her, make sure to use her to her full potential. She's the kind of character that can carry any team to victory with ease. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.